Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. Most of us are afraid of sharks. In fact, I'm betting you might be scared too. Perhaps my next guest feels a little differently. When Charity Clark saw a shark entangled in fishing lines, she jumped to the rescue and working to free the shark with her bare hands. Charity's also a photographer at the Dolphin Research Institute, and she and her family live in an RV. In fact, she homeschools her kids in the RV. Charity Clark, welcome to American Voices.
Thank you so much, Senator Bradley. I appreciate it.
So tell us about the day with the shark. What did you see and what happened?
So earlier that day, I was out on the water on our paddle boards with some friends and my family, and we were heading back into shore. And my friends and I decided to stay out for sunset, which we often do. So we stayed on our boards and we were just relaxing and talking, and happened to catch a fishing buoy bobbing under the water, which is not a typical sight at all. They just typically are there to mark a trap. So, they don't usually move. So, anyways, we were very curious as to why this was going under the water. So we paddled our boards over. It wasn't very far away from us. So paddled over, and as I got to it, standing on my board, I was looking down below the surface, probably about 6 or so feet down, and just saw the white outline of an upside down shark. And I couldn't really understand. I was just like, what is going on? And honestly, it just instinct took over after that. I pulled the shark up as quickly as I could and was hoping he was okay. I wasn't sure at the time, of course, if he was okay or not. He was in a tonic state, which I've learned since. So he's in tonic immobility. So he wasn't active at that moment. He was kind of in a trance from being upside down. So I just saw how badly he was entangled in this rope that was coming off of a trap, and just started untwisting him and untangling him as quickly and safely for myself and him as I could. And thankfully got the rope off and he swam off.
Well, so how big was the shark?
It's hard to say, but I think he was probably somewhere around 4.5 to 5 feet.
What?
Yeah. He was a black tip reef shark.
So, he's clearly big enough to bite you and hurt you. Was there any point where you were afraid?
I wasn't really afraid. I think more than anything, I was just aware that, of course, sharks, as we all know, can be unpredictable. And of course, being in a vulnerable state as he was, of course, there was risk to me being injured or hurt, by him coming back and waking up and just biting, which, as we saw later in the video, he does. But thankfully, my hands were nowhere near him at that time. So yeah, there was, of course, a little bit of not fear, but just concern and awareness, I guess, more than anything, that, of course, I could be bit.
So he was a little bit unconscious, is what you're saying?
Yeah, so it's called tonic immobility, and it's what happens when sharks are upside down. And they go into a trance sleep state. And thankfully for me, he was, because I was able to pull him up and unravel him. Because if he was not, and he was stuck and wide awake and thrashing around, I'm not sure how well I would have been able to help him, especially alone.
Is he alive still? Oh, he's blinking. Let go.
Well, have you ever done anything like this before? When it was over, you must have been surprised that you jumped in to rescue in such a dangerous situation, potentially.
Yeah. I have never, ever had any type of opportunity quite like this where I rescued a shark. I've seen sharks on my board many times, which is always exciting, but I've never, been hands-on with a shark. So yes. And afterwards, once it happened, we were just so happy that he was okay. So yeah, it was a cool moment. We didn't really think it was so cool that it would go viral. But it's been a pretty incredible thing to see. And I'm so glad that it's had such a positive response and impact.
So how exactly did you free the shark? You just untangled him?
So off of this trap, there was a incredibly long rope, which is way longer than, in my opinion, it needed to be. In the Florida Keys, especially when you're close to shore, most of the area in the Keys is very, very shallow. When the tide goes in and out, it's not like a typical tide where you're increasing, 6, 10 feet of water. It's nothing like that. So there was a, enormous amount of rope, I'm guessing maybe about 15 feet of rope that was just in the water floating.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, the shark, I of course don't know exactly what happened, but it was in his mouth. So I'm assuming in one way or another, he must have chomped down on the rope. I don't know if anything could have been attached to the rope. So he got himself all tangled. So when I pulled him up, I mean, it was all into his mouth, around his body, all the way down to his tail, his dorsal, everything. So I actually, in the video, you can see I flip him over, his tail comes up, and I just start literally untangling him. It probably took a good few minutes to do.
Well, so when you untangle him, do you say, "Oh, I got to get out of here," or
No, I mean, these reef sharks generally are very docile creatures. A lot of people, I'm not, recommending anyone just jump in the water with them, but they typically are sharks that, and honestly, sharks in general, they really aren't out there looking to kill humans. They are not. Sharks are certainly some misunderstood creatures. But again, not recommending to just jump off a boat if you see a shark coming. They do like splashing. They're curious creatures and they explore with their mouths. And unfortunately, when they do that, we hear about in the news, right? A shark bite. Um, so, this
sure?
is how they explore. It's what they do. They're curious. And unfortunately, it causes harm. They have very sharp teeth and they leave a mark. So these types of sharks, we're out on our boards a lot. I see sharks during all types of, all different types of sharks, generally reef sharks, sometimes bonnet heads, different types of sharks like that. So no, we weren't concerned for our safety. We were actually out surrounded by many sharks just before that,
Hmm.
as we were watching the sunset, and it was very exciting. It's honestly really cool to see them.
Well, let's talk about your job as a
Yeah,
photographer at the Dolphin Research Center. Can you
correct.
tell us a little bit about the center?
Yes. So the Dolphin Research Center is a wonderful nonprofit organization. They've been open since, goodness, 1984. So they've been there for a really long time. We currently have 27 dolphins, some of them being rescues. And I pinch myself almost every single day going in there because I have the opportunity to learn from them and connect with them and just really experience the amazing things that the people who have been there essentially from the beginning, who started the Dolphin Research Center, just to see what they're doing for these amazing creatures.
So you take pictures of the dolphins, the 27 dolphins, at any one time.
So, not at one time, but but they're in different, different areas of the facility. It's a
Hmm.
private, or not private, but it's a lagoon, so it's part of the ocean. So they're not in tanks or anything. They're in the lagoon, and they are living a very well cared for life, getting restaurant quality fish. So I take pictures of them for different, things, whether it's calendars or we do things called Adopt a Dolphin, where people can connect and obviously they're not adopting one, but they're virtually adopting one. And then also we have different programs at the Dolphin Research Center where people can come in and interact with the dolphins. So I photograph those moments for people.
So, can you tell dolphins apart? How do you tell them
You
apart?
you can. So dolphins are all pretty unique, kind of like we have a fingerprint. Their dorsal fins are actually pretty unique as well. And sometimes they also have other genetic makeup. Like some of them have more freckles on their heads, and their dorsal fins are shaped differently. So some can be thinner, or maybe they're more rippled on the back. And it takes time, but as you get to know them and learn them, you can start seeing them come by, and you know who it is quite quickly.
So, if you can identify a specific dolphin, do each of the dolphins have their own personality?
Oh, 100%. These guys
Really?
are all personality. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We have some very sassy dolphins, some very carefree dolphins, of course, some who are mothers, who are, helicopter parents, others who are like, oh, you're a good kid. A couple of years later, they're ready to take, have them take off on their own. Oh, yeah. We have personalities galore. We call them dolphinalities.
Dolphinalities. Okay.
Yes.
Well, do they ever make you laugh?
Oh my gosh, every day, every single
How?
day. They're so playful. They're incredibly playful creatures. And this is all, especially when we do different programs and people are interacting with them, it's entirely up to the dolphin. If they don't want to
Hmm.
cooperate and they don't want to participate, they can go do what they want to do. There's 27 dolphins, so there's always usually a dolphin that does want to participate. So there's always different dolphins that can come and make us all laugh and do silly things. So oh yeah, they're always keeping us on our toes and lots of laughter every day.
So, Charity, you live in an RV and you're homeschooling your kids.
I
What
am.
made you decide to travel and live in an RV and then homeschool your kids?
There's a lot of different reasons, but I guess at the end of the day, we were just kind of getting exhausted from the same routine day in and day out. We get up, we get our kids and ourselves ready for the day. They go off to school, we go off to work. We're there all day, come home, eat dinner, get ready for bed, and do the same thing over again. We just felt like we weren't really having quality of life. And, come the weekend, it's so busy, filled with extracurriculars, and then we're exhausted and we weren't really having intentional quality time, especially within our family. So we have friends who have also lived this type of lifestyle where they live in their RV and travel and have inspired us. And we had been, they have YouTube content and other social media channels that we were following them on, as well as other people. And we just felt really inspired. And due to, a couple things that just kind of knocked the wind out of us, so to speak, we were just ready to make a change. So we made the decision that we were going to purchase an RV and sell our home. And from the moment that we decided, we had sold our home and got on the road within 3 months of that time. So we were pretty quick. We sold about 90% of our belongings, kept a few sentimental things in storage, and we've been doing this for just about 3 years.
Hmm. I understand you have some pets in the RV.
We sure do. We have two dogs, two small dogs, Luca and Walter. We have three cats. Rio, she's our senior kitty. She's about 17. And then we have two kittens who we adopted just about a year ago, Frankie and Stevie. And we also have a snake. He's a ball python. His name is Atlas, and he's pretty cool.
How big is Atlas?
Atlas right now, so he's about a year and 4-ish months. So he's about 2 feet long. I haven't weighed him myself, so I'm not sure exactly his weight, but he's on the smaller side right now.
Hmm. But he'll get bigger. What are you going to do?
Well, male ball pythons typically they're about 3 feet, maybe 4 feet in length at their largest. Typically, they could, of course, get up to 5 sometimes, but females typically get larger. They're more so around that 5 feet length. So we intentionally got a boy because, of course, we are in a small space, and even though he does have a large tank, he's in a 40-gallon, very nice enclosure. But we have to be mindful of where that's going to fit in the RV. So we don't think he's going to get to be too big. So we're kind of hoping that he's right around that 3 foot length, and he remains happy in this enclosure.
Why would you choose to get a python?
So that would be my daughter. So I have a almost 12-year-old daughter who absolutely loves kind of the more unloved creatures. So she loves spiders and she loves bugs and she loves snakes. So she was deciding if she wanted a tarantula or a snake and ultimately decided on a snake. And I got onto Facebook and actually found someone who was rehoming Atlas. That wasn't his name, but we named him that. And about a couple months ago, we brought him home, and she's been wonderful taking care of him.
How difficult is it to homeschool your kids while living in an RV? I mean,
Yeah.
how do you navigate around that and make it all work? I mean, my mother used to homeschool me in the first, second, third grade for 2 months a year, but
Oh,
I have some experience. But how about you?
homeschooling for us all started when COVID actually hit. This was before we moved into an RV. School shut down. I think it was the end of March of 2020. And at the time, my oldest was the only one currently in public school. And then my youngest was in, a preschool. She was in childcare. So I was in real estate at the time also and doing photography. So I left my job in real estate to homeschool the girls. So I started then. And honestly, at that time, I was kind of kicking myself because it was a lot. And during COVID, most everything was closed. We were living in Maine. It was cold. It was hard. So we didn't have a lot of that social aspect at the time. So homeschooling was a little bit challenging for sure then. Um, Opposed to now in the RV, it's been a really amazing experience. Not only just being able to teach our girls hands-on, but also the social aspect. We have met in RV life so many incredible families who, of course, are also homeschooling or road schooling, as we like to call it. So we have made incredible friends, and my kids have made incredible friendships and are constantly doing different activities with them. We'll do different field trips. For instance, down here, there's also the turtle hospital, which we visited many times. We've done many turtle releases, manatee releases, and just so many other things. So socially, they have such a great community. And then also we get together and we do different learning activities, and it's been very rewarding. Of course, it has its own set of challenges sometimes. Not everybody wants to sit down and do schoolwork when they want, but we really try to make the on-screen or in-book time as short as we can, just so that we can really utilize our outside time and just our hands-on time, which a lot of time could look like cooking or sewing or going on a field trip.
Fantastic. Well, Charity, listen, thanks for being here on American Voices and telling us about
Absolutely.
your job, your bravery, saving a shark, and RV life.
Well, thank you. It was such a pleasure, and I appreciate it. And I love that you're doing this. I think it's so great for people to hear such fun and positive stories. I love that.
Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.